All right. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we
Awesome.
can.
Awesome. Awesome. Oops. I'm wondering, hmm, okay. Well, all right. There we go. All right. Well, hi everyone, and welcome. My name is Billie Harris. I am a member and vice president of the Atlanta chapter of the Hughes Society. And in Atlanta, I also own a couple of companies. One is called the Vino Van, and it is a wine tour company that takes passengers up to North Georgia to the vineyards and the wineries. The other is called Goodness in a Glass, and that is where I host public and private wine tastings as well as wine pairing dinners and consulting. And third is the Posh Nosh, which is a mobile charcuterie cart. I'm originally from Woodville, Mississippi. I've been in Atlanta now for about 25 years, so very long time. So Atlanta is my home. I don't plan on going anywhere. But just wanted to share a little bit about myself before I get started. Um, so let's see, how many? I see we have DMV. Brandon, what chapter are you? And John, what chapter are you?
I'm also DMV.
Okay, cool beans. Awesome.
Mhm. DMV Vice President.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
Yes. And John, what about you?
I'm international and I'm out.
Okay, cool. Cool, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I guess we'll jump in and get started. So but first, are you all sipping anything at all right now?
Um,
What do you have, John?
I have a Sauvignon Blanc Boulder Bank,
Okay, heard. Where is it from?
Fitzroy Vineyard.
Okay, what region is that?
I don't know about it here in Alabama.
Oh, heard. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
uh,
What about you, Brandon?
I'm just having water right now
Not a no
for the
problem.
night.
Not a problem at all. And then Gail, what about you?
Unfortunately, I am not. I'm a little under the weather. So
Oh,
as soon as I jump off this call, I will be having a hot toddy. But
oh, okay. All right. Heard.
that's that's why I'm off camera.
Okay. No worries at all. No worries. Okay. Well, and I see what John said. Okay, it's from New Zealand. Okay, a little New Zealand Sauv Blanc. Well, so I'm not sure if you all had a chance to take a look at the wines that I chose for this particular Zoom. But I wanted to go really light because the weather is very hot, especially here in Atlanta. I'm not quite sure what it's like in DMV, but so I wanted to choose wines that were more catered towards summer sipping, especially if you're going to be outside and at a park or at some other festival or just having fun. I wanted to do wines that were, excuse me, light bodied, um, effervescent, some of them, and also low ABV. And the third wine is a chillable red. So that's kind of what I was going for with this particular tasting. So basically, the first wine that I chose, it's called Badaya. And even if you cannot find this wine in your market, I definitely suggest, trying or looking for a Chocolina because that's what that wine is. Just so you can have an idea. If you have not had a Chocolina before, have you all had Chocolina? Oh, hi. We have someone just joining us. How are you? Uh-oh. Dooley? I don't know if I hope I did not mispronounce your name. If I did, I apologize. But I'm glad that you joined us. So, Chocolina is one of those wines that I think it's just an overall super easy drinking wine. Um, You can drink it by itself. It goes really well with food. In my personal opinion, food from Basque country, because that's where this wine is from. And I've always kind of been, a person that likes to um, pair wines with the food where the wines grow. And basically, with the theory of if it grows together, it goes together. So, with that being said, this particular region of Bass County is basically also called the green Spain. And that is because of a couple things. It's very, it has a lot of greenery and, forests and things of the sort in that area. And, uh oh, no problem. No problem. Hi there. Um, so yeah, and this is also located, or this particular region is located in the north coast of Spain, right there at the top, right next to the Bay of Biscay. And it is a mountainous region, and there are three different types of cultures within this region. In addition to Spanish culture, you also have some French and you also have some Celtic. So that's very interesting as well. But in this particular area, this does tend to be a cooler climate, a wet climate. And so, with that being said, these wines tend to be a little bit underripe, which is not a bad thing at all, because that is what, has to do with their freshness and why they are so light and fun and effervescent. Um, and as well as being, a low alcohol wine. These wines also may have a tad bit of salinity. And I really, dang, I wish you all were able to taste these wines because I am drinking the Chocolina right now, and it's lovely. But also in this region, fermentation can be a challenge. So with that being said, that's why some of the wines or these chocolinas end up with some effervescence, but not to be confused with a sparkling wine because that is not necessarily the style that's intentionally made. It just so happens to be because of where these grapes are grown and where this wine is made. Um, and a fun fact too about Chacolina. With Chacolina, when they pour in Spain, they usually do what they call a long pour. And I probably won't try to attempt to do that, but that's basically when you are holding the bottle and you are pouring, but as you are pouring, you're moving further away from the glass. And they are saying, or the Spanish or the people in that region say that when you pour that way, it allows the oxygen to, kind of mesh and get into the wine itself. And it kind of enhances that effervescence that you are experiencing whenever you do drink Chocolina. So, another fun fact in that particular region, they do not drink out of wine glasses. They actually drink out of water glasses, and that tends to be more of their tradition. Um, so I thought that was pretty cool. So, this particular varietal and this particular producer, this is a husband and wife, and they were high school sweethearts. And so after they traveled the world together, they wanted to return to their land, to where they were from, and make wine together. So they grow two different types of varietals, which are two common varietals that Chocolina is made from. Chocolina being the specific area or region, but the grapes themselves are Handarabi Zuri or Handarabi Belza. So those are the two most common varietals that you will find in Chacolinas. And Chocolina just means wine for the house. Because in this particular region, the families for centuries, they grew grapes and they only made enough wine just for their home, and not necessarily, to be sold or what have you. But these particular high school sweethearts did embark upon this journey together. And I think it's a very beautiful journey. And needless to say, whenever you do have an opportunity to taste this wine, you will see that not only do they have, not only are they a married couple, but they also are very good partners in winemaking. With this wine, you will tend to get a lot of vibrant flavor profiles like your lemon, your lime zest. Like I said earlier, a little bit of salinity. So it's very fresh. Some chacolinas also have a little bit of tropical fruit as well. So that's always fun. Um, this one, I feel as if it does have a bit of roundness to it, and definitely a little mineral driven. But it's at the same time, it's very crisp. I think it has really, really good acidity, which is very important for all wine, not just white wine, but acidity is important for your reds, your whites, your sparkling, your rosés, because acidity is what helps the wine maintain its structure and the fruit. So when a wine does not have good acidity or when it's not balanced, sometimes it can tend to fall a little flat. Sometimes you may not be able to taste, some of the fruit that's intended. But this wine, this particular one, I think is very well balanced. It has really good acidity. So I've kind of talked a little bit about the wine. I've talked a little bit about the producers that make this wine. So now talking about food pairings, because for me, dining is a whole experience. And whenever I sit down to dine, I do tend to have several different varietals throughout my dinner. I may start off with one, I may end up with something completely different. So food and is very important to any dining experience, in my opinion. But this particular food, of course, anything as far as tapas or any type of appetizers, grilled fish would be wonderful with this wine. Any sort of the other white meat, like some sort of smoked or grilled pork. If you do eat pork, I do. Um, so all of these things, I think it's a very food friendly wine as well. So you really can't go wrong. And just keep in mind, these are just suggestions. I always encourage people, trust your own palate. Sometimes there may be a suggestion, and when you try it for yourself, you may not like it as much, and that's okay because all of our palates and all of our noses are very different. And there are no such thing as any wrong answers when it comes to what you want to eat when you drink your wine. So, before I move to the next wine, does anyone have any questions at all about this Chacolina? Nope. Okay.
I
Well,
think you
I
had
saw.
some in the chat.
Oh, I do. Let's see. Let's see here. All right. New replies. Oh, I don't see any. Did you see? Let me see. Let's see.
I think the Luli, she asked, where can you find it? Find the wine.
Oh, well, this particular wine, because I am in Atlanta, I found this wine at a wine shop called Vino. Um, but I would definitely suggest maybe your local wine shop. I'm not quite sure if some of the bigger wine stores would carry it like Total. But if your wine shops in your local area are anything like the ones here in Atlanta, when we walk in and we're asking for something that they don't have, it definitely encourages them to get that wine in. So um this wine should still be, or you should still be able to find this particular or all three of these wines in that email that was initially sent out. So you all can definitely see if they are indeed in your market. I hope they are. But if this particular producer is not, then for the most part, with slight differences, but Chocolina will have very similar characteristics, regardless of who the producer is. So I still say, if you cannot find this particular Chocolina, definitely try one that you can find in your market. So let's see. I think that was all of the
Thank
questions.
you. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
of course, absolutely. Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, we're gonna move right along. So the next wine I chose, this was is a Portuguese wine. So we're kind of right next door. We hadn't gone too far. Um, this one is a Vino Verde. It's pronounced several different ways by, depending on where you are. Um, but it is kind of, I hate to say this is the right way to pronounce it because sometimes, our dialect may have some influence on what we call things. But when you, for the most part, you would probably hear someone say Vino Verde or Vino Verde. But this particular wine also means green wine, just as the first one, but that's in Portuguese. This particular region is in a cooler, wetter, greener climate, still mountainous, basically. And this particular region is a very small village and it's surrounded by these mountains. And with that being said, with the soil, it's granite and sandy loam, which is basically sand, a combination of sand, silt, and clay. But all of these types of things have influence on what these wines taste like. Still very light in body, but also, oh, thank you. Um, Still that real nice mineral nuance with a little bit of salinity. Now, the first wine that we had, the style or technique of their growing process was a little bit different. So the Chacolina that we had, their vines grow in the form of pergolas. And so what that looks like is basically an arch. And so the reason why they do that is because it kind of helps with sunlight exposure for these vines. And it also reduces overcrowding. It allows air to circulate better throughout the vines, which also helps cut back on fungal interference with these vines and with the leaves. It's also easier for management, for pruning and harvesting, and just basically keeping the fruit off the ground, as well as even providing some natural shade for the people that are working in the vineyards. Now, with the Vino Verde, their process is a little bit different. They are using the traditional trellis systems. Basically, the trellis systems are the standard ones that you see at most vineyards where the vines are growing upright and they are usually rolled or row based. But that even, it's just slightly different from the pergola style, but it still allows good sun exposure for these grapes. Um, Maybe a little bit more even sun exposure. Also very easy to prune. Also allows for the air to circulate through the vineyards and the vines, which also helps with any type of fungal interference. So, they both are really good techniques that winemakers use or viticulturalists use when they're growing their grapes. But just depending on the region and where these grapes are growing, sometimes that does, for the most part, determine the style, whether they're using the pergola or trellis. Um, and then all of these things too, in addition to things that you may already be familiar with, which is the terroir, which is a compilation of like the soil, the climate, the weather, which are two different things. Basically, just the growing conditions. So, all of these things, in addition to even the style or the way that these vines are growing, all have influence on what this wine tastes like. So, this particular one, just as the first one we had, is aged in stainless steel. Um, the difference between the first wine and this one is the first one was 100% Handarabi Zura, and this one is actually a blend of three indigenous grapes. So one of them being Vinhau, another being Borisal, and another being Espadero. And these are grapes that you find in this particular region, common grapes that you find in this particular region. And I don't know if you can see or notice that it does have a really pretty light salmon pink color. So this is a Vino Verde Rosé. Have any of you ever had a Vino Verde or a Vino Verde Rosé? Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Both or
Yes.
just one or the
Yes.
other? Both of
Uh, uh,
them?
no rosé, just regular Vino Verde.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, the rosés are beautiful as well. Um, they do spend about 2 months on lees, And what that means is that once the fermentation process is over, once the yeast is done eating up all of the sugar that's in that juice, and they die, whenever you hear the word lees aging, it just means that they are allowing those dead yeast cells to still remain in contact with the juice. And what that does sometimes is, or not sometimes, but just what that does is add some complexity to the wine, maybe give it a little bit more depth, a little bit more of a mouthfeel, a little bit texture also. So, and this wine does have all of that. Dang, I wish you all could try this wine. It's so good. Mm. Oh my gosh. But and I'm hoping that when you do go to your wine shops, that you all can find these wines. I really do. Because they're really good summer sippers. But so this particular wine, unlike the first one, is allowed to settle naturally with very minimum fining and filtering. But it is still rather clear, so it's just it does go through some, but it's just super minimal. These grapes, just as the first, are also hand harvested. And the philosophy of this winemaker is that basically he believes that the best wine is actually born in the vineyard. So saying all of that to say these are 20-year-old grapes and that these vines have been growing um, from the beginning at this particular vineyard. And so the thing about that too, I just want to kind of like a little sidebar. In terms of growing grapes, when you first plant grapes, especially if they are baby vines or younger vines, usually within that first 5 years, those grapes will not necessarily produce the type of grapes or grapes that are ready to make wine from. It takes a while, for those grapes to get to a point where they are ready, to be turned into a wine. So to say that you have nurtured these vines from babies all the way up to where they are now, that is it's always a wonderful thing, and especially for um a lot of winemakers who are um like later when they are making wine later on in life. But this particular producer, his name is Jose, and he does believe in sustainable farming. And what that means is that he farms in a way that protects the environment and still produces beautiful wines. So whether he is using cover crops, whether he is the net combats erosion, whether he is composting or using fewer synthetic pesticides or fertilizers. And that also includes supporting the local community and the workers that work there at his vineyards. So that is always a wonderful thing to hear when winemakers are, caring enough. It's just I really appreciate that, and it just makes the wine all the more better. But this one, as far as flavor profiles, um, with most rosés, it doesn't matter where they're from or what varietal they are. There's one common thing, and you tell me if you notice this as well. When you smell the rosés, do you always get some type of strawberry, whether it's a fresh strawberry or a wild strawberry or something, when you think about it? Because for me, that seems to be one of the very common um, aromas that I find in most, if not all, of the rosés that I've ever had. So I always thought that was just very interesting to share. But this one is also very fresh, very light, very good acidity. In addition to that strawberry nuance, I'm also getting some tropical notes in this one as well. And I didn't share the ABV with the last one. It was 10.5 ABV. And with this one, I think it is the same, or 11%. So, very good wines that, especially if you are going to be day drinking, I would absolutely recommend these style of wines for that. Let's see. Oh, and also too with Vino Verdes, just like the Chacolina, some of them tend to have a slight effervescence. This one, it's almost like it's not as pronounced as the Chacolina was, but it is absolutely still there. So that's also a little fun thing about most of the Vino Verdes. So Dooley, you said that you had had one before. Do you recall having that same experience with the effervescence in the Vino Verde that you had?
Yes, it was,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a little bit of bubbles, like I've noticed. Very, very tiny. I mean, barely
Yeah.
noticeable. But I
Yeah.
would always be like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Uh-huh.
But I still loved it. And I always go for a Vino Verde, especially for a beach day. You know,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
perfect. It's perfect.
Absolutely. I agree. So yeah, so does anyone have any questions about the Las Lilas Vino Verde? Or just any questions in general? Nope. Okie dokie. Well, let's see. Oh, let me check the chat. Let's see. Oh, the second one is very fresh and fruity. Yeah, okay. It is. It really is. It's super fresh and fruity. Let's see. Let's see how I get back here. Okay, awesome. All right, so well, lastly, um, we are now in France. So we have a chillable red. It is Anne Collier, Rock, Paper, Scissors. I thought the name was like super fun. But this one is from Côte d'Aron. It is a GSM blend, which stands for Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre, which is very common in that particular region. This one is also a husband and wife that has always wanted to plant vines. And so basically, they didn't want to plant vines anywhere else but Côte d'Aron. So in 2019, the wife, Anne, purchased 30 hectares in Comps, which is in Côte d'Aron and is near the Rhone River. Now, to put that in perspective, 30 hectares, if you think in, thank you, if you think in terms of hectares, 1 hectare is about 2.5 acres. So it's a pretty big property. Oh, let's see. Which wine? This very last one that we're on, the red blend the chillable red blend that we have. So basically, they mostly plant Grenache and Mourvedre, but they also plant Carignan. And so this one, they decided not to blend the Carignan, but instead they did Syrah. And gosh, because I really want to ask. So let me ask this first before I move further. How many of you have had a GSM blend from Côte d'Aron? Anyone?
I have definitely have, and I love, 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 love them.
Yay, awesome. Well, you still get a lot of very similar characteristics as you would. Um, but this one, because of the style and the way that it's made, it is a bit fresher than maybe some of the ones that you have drank that were just, your standard or typical GSM blends. And the reason for that is a couple things. So this property is in a pretty windy area. It makes it convenient for organic and biodynamic farming. And with areas like that, because it's in a windy area, it's better. Once again, we're talking in terms of what's going on and happening with these vines and around these vines. It allows for better circulation, less moisture, which equals, fewer fungal diseases. So you're seeing with all three of these wines that they do have some commonalities in their ways that they are, or in the ways that the grapes are being farmed. But, there are also other similarities between these three wines, even though they are from completely different places. And that's more so the style. The style of these wines is what's kind of tying them all together. So with that being said, this winemaker also do not use sulfites, aside from the ones that naturally occur in wine. And yes, sulfites do naturally occur in wines, but there are sometimes added sulfites. And they do that to kind of help sustain or prolong the freshness of the wine or what have you. But I can appreciate when a winemaker does not add any additional sulfites during the winemaking or the aging process. Um, Also, what's pretty cool about this wine is that it experiences spontaneous fermentation, which means that the fermentation is not started on purpose. The yeast that is starting this fermentation is indigenous, and it also may just come from equipment. The natural occurring yeast that's already on the skins of the grapes are just already in the vineyard or in the facility. That is the yeast that is used, that spontaneously starts up this fermentation. Another cool thing about these wines is that they are aged, they are placed in concrete vats, and they stay there until they are bottled. So they don't transfer over to any other type of vessel aside from the concrete, which also is the reason why it has so much freshness. And in my personal opinion, why I think it's just such a great wine to chill. Um, it only experiences 8 to 12 months of aging, and a very short maceration. So if you, well, looking at this wine, I can literally see straight through it. So, and then, mm, yeah, that is fresh. That is fresh. That is good. Okay, so, sorry. Um, so yeah, this wine is still very reminiscent of what you would expect from a GSM, but just a more lively, bubbly version of itself, if that makes any sense at all. So so yeah, that's pretty much what I have. But the floor is absolutely open for questions, whether the questions are about the wines that we just talked about, or just any questions whatsoever about winemaking processes, techniques, what have you. I am definitely open to all of that. Or just a comment if you just want to share something.
Well, Billy, I have a question. As far
Sure.
as the last one, what would you say your food pairings for that one would be?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this one, because for me, smoked meats all day, barbecue all day. So this one is giving me like these, really honestly, it's giving me like a lot of cranberry notes. And because I have this little chill on it, it's so nice and so easy to drink. And I think it would pair really well with some barbecue that may have had like a honey barbecue sauce on it. I also think it would go very well with any type of grilled fish or smoked fish. Um, and let's see, I also think, because the thing about it too, sometimes it's kind of hard to pair wines with salads, but I do think that if you had some sort of I don't know, maybe like a fruit, like salad with some sort of fruit in it, or maybe like some roasted nuts like pecans or something like that, some kind of a salad that had some other components in it, I think would pair really well with this GSM, with this particular wine. And two, don't be afraid to explore a little bit. I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with traditional pairings when you're speaking in terms of red wines and beef or heavy meats or whatever the case may be, and then white wine with chicken or fish. But I've had some amazing white wines with my steaks, and I've had some beautiful red wines with my fish dishes or lighter dishes. I also tell people too, when you're speaking in terms of pairing, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when you are pairing, you don't necessarily have to pair the protein itself, but what you're really pairing are the flavor profiles of the dish, or rather the seasonings that you're using, or if it's a cream sauce, or if it's more of a tomato based sauce. It's those types of things that you are looking to pair with the wine so that they play well together and not fight each other. So yeah.
Sounds good. And you spoke of salad, so I love a
Yeah.
good like arugula with beets and goat cheese that's in there. What would you
Listen.
say your pairings for that?
Well, honestly, when you added the beet component, I would absolutely drink this rock paper scissors with that beet salad. I would definitely do that. I think it would be a wonderful pairing. Um, but outside of that, and you said arugula. So arugula is kind of peppery. It has like this kind of peppery note. So sometimes wines that um that would not fight it, or basically you're speaking in terms of wine that don't necessarily have the exact same flavor profile. So, like for instance, Sauvignon Blancs. Sauvignon Blancs tend to have a herbaceous characteristic. So sometimes they can kind of pair well because it's kind of like one of those things where the two things cancel each other out. It's just like if you're drinking, a wine that has, more sugar, or, a more fruit forward wine, but you're eating something that's really sweet. And when you have them together, it gives you it takes away some of the sweetness, and it kind of balances it, and it makes the food or the dessert not as sweet. So it's that same kind of concept.
Oh, thanks.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. Oh, check the chat. I gotta keep checking the chat. I keep forgetting. Sorry, guys. Oh, someone says ceviche. Oh, okay. So listen, either one of those first two wines that we had, and I'm sorry, my phone was it went to another screen. But yes, with ceviche, either one of those first two wines we had, whether it was, especially the Chacolina, I think that that would be a wonderful pairing with ceviche. And then two, I also believe in sparkling wine. Just kind of goes with a little bit of everything. So I'm gonna also say, some sort of sparkling wine. And in this case, um, when we're speaking in terms, since we are in Spain, maybe a nice cava would be good with your popo or your ceviche. But something that has like some citrus and some lemon and lime and that type of characteristic would go really well. Let's see. Do I have any other questions in here? Nope, I don't have any other questions. Well, we still have a few minutes on here, guys. If y'all want to share any fun finds that you all have had a chance to experience recently, or any other summer sippers that you want to share that you've tried. Uh-oh, was someone speaking? I thought someone was talking. Okay. Well, oh, wait, let's see. Chillable red frappato. Oh my gosh, yes, I love frappato. I absolutely love frappato. And the thing about it too, when you're speaking in terms of chilling a red, you can really you can slick put a chill on most of your red wines. Some of them, you don't want to chill too much. Like the one that we're drinking, or that the one that I'm drinking this evening, I put a bit more of a chill on this one because of the way it's made, because of the style, because of all of those things. But just traditionally, when I'm drinking wine, and you're speaking in terms of drinking or serving temperature, a rule of thumb, and it kind of helps you to keep from having to remember degrees and those types of things. For red wines, if you pop them in the fridge about 30 minutes prior to serving, especially if they've been sitting somewhere, if you just bought them from the store or what have you, you pop them in the fridge 30 minutes before serving, and it'll bring them up to a really nice serving temp. With white wines, if you have them on ice or in the fridge already, you take them out 30 minutes prior to serving, and it'll kind of bring them down to a really nice serving temp. Because sometimes when white wines are just like too cold, it's hard for you to smell and taste, excuse me, the notes in the wine. So when you have so serving temperature in that cases, or in all cases, is very important. And also with your rosés, you want to, serve them pretty cold. Same as your whites, you take them out the fridge 30 minutes before you want to serve. But your sparkling wines, you would definitely get all of the everythings from those sparkling wines by serving them straight out of the fridge or straight off ice. You want them to be as cold as they possibly can. So that is the only exception with that. But yes, the 30-minute rule. So just a quick recap, for whites, 30 minutes off ice out of the fridge before serving. With reds, 30 minutes in the fridge or on ice before serving. see what else. Chilled Monsetto today. Oh, tell me about that. I want to hear. I've not had Monsetto. Please share.
It's pretty tasty. I had a 2015. I didn't know. It was my first time sipping it too, and it's a Nebbiolo grape.
Okay.
So it did have more of that candied, um, older grape flavor. If that makes sense. You could tell
Okay.
that it was aged, but it was still very tasty. And I think I should have held on to it longer because I have a feeling because I had it open since like Sunday. I have a feeling that had I waited maybe another year or two, it would taste even better. But it was very tasty, very earthy, but there was still some fruitfulness in there. But it was nice.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I've not had that. So I gotta make a note. See if I can find some here. Let me go up here. Let me go back in this chat and see here. Okay, cool. Anybody else had some interesting wines lately that they want to share or let us know about? Maybe we can find them here in our markets. See who's on here. I've seen a couple people pop on and pop off. Okay. Well, um, I guess that may bring us to the end of our Zoom. So, I really want to thank y'all for coming and jumping on here and listening to me for talk about wine for an hour. I hope that everybody pulled something from it, and I really truly do hope that the wines you can find them in your market. I really, really do because they were fantastic. They were pretty delicious. But if not, then if you can find something very similar, I think it would be just as beautiful. But yeah, so again, thank you so much. And I hope to see you all at Wine and Culture Fest. Is anybody going to Wine and Culture Fest?
I will be there.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, good, good, good. We get to meet in person.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. I will see you, Brandon, at Wine and Culture Fest, and everyone else. Hopefully, I will see you all very soon, whether it's in person or on another Zoom. All right. Well, y'all have an amazing evening and rest of your week and a wonderful weekend.
You as well. Bye bye.
All right. Cheers, y'all. Cheers. Cheers. Let's see. Let me stop the video. Okay. Hold on. How do I see? Oh, there we go. I gotta stop the video. I stop the recording.